Kaiser rolls. I got this recipe from Bev Volfie on YouTube, and it's such a wonderful and super easy recipe that I wanted to share it with you. But first I'm going to show you the ingredients that you need. It's all here. That's all you need. So you're going to need 1 1/4 cups of warm water. I'm going to pour this into my mixer right now just so the yeast can proof. So pour that in there. 1 tablespoon of yeast. My yeast I get from breadtopia.com because I bake a lot of bread. So the I guess the equivalent would be Firmapan yeast or Fleischmann's instant yeast. So you're going to use 1 tablespoon. But yeast is yeast. Hey, it all works. And you're going to have 1 tablespoon of sugar, and the sugar feeds the yeast. So we're going to let that proof for about 10 minutes. I'm just going to give it a quick little stir here. And proofing just means, for those of you that have never made bread, in about 10 minutes you will see this, the yeast will start growing and they'll get like kind of a little bit frothy. Then, so we've got 1 1/4 cups of warm water, tablespoon of yeast, a tablespoon of sugar, white sugar or brown sugar. For these rolls though, I prefer like things whole wheat and brown, but if you want to make a true Kaiser roll, you're going to need white sugar and white flour. So you can play around with the recipe once you master this one. So we got that in the bowl. You're going to need a mixer, preferably with a bread hook on it. I think it could be done without or by hand, but it will be much easier if you use your mixer. I have a Jenn-Air mixer, and there's also KitchenAid and all of those kind. Next, you're going to need 3 tablespoons of butter, melted, 1 egg, 3 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, and then you're going to need some oil, either avocado oil or olive oil, and some flour, but that will make sense later. And you'll also need 3 tea towels. I use 3. You could get away with 2. So after this is proofed for 10 minutes, I'll be right back and we'll carry on. Those bubbles, and start my machine on a very low speed here, and just to blend up the yeast in the bowl. And to that I'm going to add 1 egg, and I'll just turn it up to 2 instead of 1. There we go. So we'll get that blended in. Then I'm going to start adding about 1/2 of the flour mixture. I've got it right here in my bowl. I'm just using a scoop. Just about 1/2 of it. And at some point we'll have to take a spatula and kind of scrape it down the sides a bit. And let that blend in, and then we'll add all of the butter. And then the remainder of the flour. And included in that will be our 1 teaspoon of salt right here. Just dump that in with that last part of the flour. And I find if you're a new baker, it is so much easier to have everything ready and measured. It's called mise en place. That's what most chefs and bakers do. It's everything prepped and measured ahead of time, and then you just go dump it in. The cleanup is easier, it's less stressful on you, and it just makes it for a much easier job all around. So you're just going to let this kind of rock and roll I stopped the machine once to scrape down the sides with the spatula. Pretty soon all of the dough will have incorporated, all the flour will have incorporated the liquid, and it will just knead away for you. And it may rock and roll like that, but that's what happens when the bread hook is in. That's just how it works. So make sure your bowl's locked in and your hook is locked in, and then you're good to go. And so you let this knead for 4 to 6 minutes. So that's been 4 to 6 minutes, and that's what it looks like. You can see the ball of dough formed. Actually, the sides are almost clean. I think it's remarkable how this works. Now, if you don't have this bread hook, I just want to repeat again. You can do this. You can do it with your hands, with your a spoon, or just knead in the normal way. But just know this is a very, very sticky dough. So you don't want to be kneading this and keep adding flour and flour, because that'll change the quality of your rolls in the end. So it's a very sticky dough. You could probably put some maybe oil on your hands, which I'm going to show you right now. It's very easy to remove the dough from the hook. And I'm even doing it with one hand. You see? So then you have this ball of dough in the bottom of your bowl. You just remove your hook, put it in the sink, and make sure my machine is off. I'm just going to unhook my bowl and put it on the counter. The next thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of oil in the bottom of the bowl here. Just down the sides there, like that. And then we'll make sure that all of our dough gets coated. So we've poured the oil in the bottom of the bowl, and you can see the dough is all glistening from oil. What we want to do is make sure this is all kneaded really nicely, and it's so easy to do that I'm doing it with one hand. We're going to shape this into a ball. It should look something like this, like a nice shiny ball. Then you're going to take a tea towel, cover the top of your bowl, and we're going to let it proof or rise, whatever term you like to use. You're going to place it in your oven with the oven light on, and it's amazing how much heat comes from that, just the oven light being on. So just let it sit in there rising for 1 hour. So you can see how high that dough rose, and just from the oven light, the warmth, it's amazing. So what you're going to do is just punch that dough down like this. Lay down one of your other clean tea towels, preferably one that doesn't have ridges in it, like a pure cotton one. You're going to sprinkle just a little bit of flour on your cloth, and then just take your dough out, and see, look how nice it comes out. Really easy cleanup. And just kind of, we're going to knead it a few times on the flour. So for those that are beginning, come from the outside in, like folding in, fold it up, and push on it like that. So you're going to do that about 8 to 10 times. Just a nice little kneading. And then we're going to create a nice, as even as we can, circle. Take a knife, and you're going to cut it in half, right through. You won't cut your cloth. So you have this half and this half. I'm going to cut this in half again, and then in half again. And we're going to end up with 8 relatively same size pieces. And there we go. So we've got, these are our 8 rolls. Some of them might seem a little bit bigger than the others. I'm just going to add, I can tell this one is small. So they're all about the same. So what you're going to do now is take your dough and you're going to roll it in like when you used to play with Play-Doh. You're going to make like a snake. Just roll it up. And don't be afraid. I remember when I first used to make bread, I'd think, oh, it rose so nice and now I'm squishing it all down. It's probably not going to rise again. That's what I used to always think. But it always does. So you've made yourself about a 10-inch snake. About like that. Okay? You're going to take your snake and tie it in a knot. So it's going to look just like that, a knot. You're going to take this right hand knot piece, tuck it in the back and push it in, and the left hand knot piece, bring it around the front and push it in. And there you have the shape of the Kaiser roll. And you're going to place it on a parchment lined cookie sheet. If you don't have parchment, if you use Silpats or silicone mats, that's fine too. And I picked up my parchment, this one Reynolds at the dollar store, for $1. So you're going to continue like that until we have all 8 snakes made, or all 8 rolls made. So tie it in a knot, like so. The right hand tie goes under the back, tucks in. The left hand one comes over the front and tucks in like that. And place it on the sheet. So here's our 8 rolls ready to go back into the oven to rise. So we're just going to cover them up with the same cloth that we used to cover the bowl. And we're going to place the cookie sheet back in the oven and let them rise, but this time for only 45 minutes. So I'm just going to take these out of the oven now. It's been 45 minutes. And I can already tell that they have risen. You can just see by... Wow. Holy, look how big these are. So now what I'm going to do, that one got a little misshapen, but that's okay. You get the idea. I was doing a lot of this and videotaping, so they are perfect, but most of them are good. So now I'm going to preheat my oven to, it says preheat my oven to 400, but my oven is really hot, so I'm going to preheat to 395, and then once it's preheated, you'll bake them for 20 minutes. So here are the finished Kaiser rolls. And they're piping hot. Just pulled them out of the oven, and so you can just separate them, you know, individually, and you can tell they're all done, and they get nice and crispy. And so you just let them cool on your cookie sheet, and then what I do is store them by 4 in those freezer bags, and then you know, you can make them whenever you want to, and you can have them. They're great for sandwiches, great for lunch, you know, anything you use a Kaiser roll for, hamburger buns, just anything. But it's just so nice that you made your own. No additives in it, just your own natural product. These make the absolute best hamburger buns ever. Can you see the quality of the roll? That's barbecue sauce, but beautiful, perfect size, nice big juicy hamburgers, and a nice homemade Kaiser roll that you made yourself. So thanks so much for watching, and please let me know in the down bar if you're interested in any other easy recipes and bread ones, because I make bread a lot and I have all kinds of easy recipes. Everyone thinks it's so difficult, but it really is not. So we'll see you next time, and thanks for watching. Bye. Yummo.